Hello, welcome to NBC News, and you are with me, Evelis Chingambe. Coming up this morning. Government intensifies efforts to expand electricity access to achieve economic transformation. Over 20,000 students selected to pursue tertiary education in various public universities and colleges in the country. And in sports, Scorchers coach banks on FIFA Women's Series tournament to shape the team ahead of WAFCON finals in July. Thank you for joining us. Now the news in detail. Minister of Energy and Mining Jean Matanga says government is intensifying efforts to expand access to electricity for households, rural hospitals and schools as a key strategy for achieving economic transformation. Matanga said through the Accelerating Sustainable and Clean Energy Access Transformation Asset Malawi project funded by the World Bank, government aims to increase national electricity access from the current 29% to 50% by 2030. We have a report by Trinity Kapantengo being read by Madalitso Mhango.
The Accent project is said to be designed to support Malawi in achieving its strategic goal of reaching at least 50% electricity access by 2030 as outlined in the Malawi 2063. Minister of Energy and Mining, Jean Matanga, emphasized that access to reliable electricity is critical for economic development and urged ESCOM to uphold the highest standards of professionalism, transparency, and accountability to ensure the successful implementation of the project.
We have heard of a lot of issues. There are a lot of gaps within ESCOM, some laxity, some things that should not be condoned. So I was here warning them, reminding them of why they are employees of ESCOM. First and foremost, they're there to give a service to Malawians. It's not about them, it is about Malawians. So I was just reminding them of the role and the responsibility that they're entrusted with. I was now imploring on the board to make sure that they do their work. If they see that there are some people within the management circles or just workers that are not doing the work, they should be able to stand up and discipline those members of staff.
In his remarks, ESCOM Board Director Welford Isabola said they are operating with a new ESCOM that is customer-centric to advance the Accent project as well as the Malawi 2063 agenda.
We very much understand the frustrations that the customers have been having. Sometimes maybe they call to the call center, it takes 5-6 days or even 2 weeks without being assisted and they're in the dark. Sometimes maybe our people go out, they want incentives, it's not no good. So this is a new ESCOM. We have a new mandate now, we have a new resolve as to how we want to service the customers to ensure that people are happy, they have electricity almost every day.
Sabu Traditional Authority Mambo commended the government for officially commencing the Ascent project at Ngwangwa, saying it will improve the welfare of people surrounding the area through improved services due to the coming in of electricity.
We are thankful for what the government has done. The coming in of electricity at Ngwangwa Health Center will not only improve service delivery at the hospital, but also improve the welfare of people surrounding the facility.
Accelerating sustainable and clean energy access transformation, Accent Malawi project is a $250.8 million World Bank funded initiative running from 2025 to 2030. The project succeeds the Malawi Electricity Access Project, MIP, aiming to connect 235,000 households, 1,280 schools, health facilities, and provide clean cooking solutions to 650,000 people to reach 50% national energy access.
Minister of Health, Madalitso Aloi, says government is committed to ensuring that all funds allocated for the procurement of medicines are used for their intended purpose. The minister said that this is one way of reducing challenges affecting hospitals across the country. Aloi made the remarks in Parliament on Thursday when responding to a report by the Parliamentary Committee on Health. More in this report by Mike Kalumbi.
Speaking in Parliament, Waloi described it as unfortunate that over the past 5 years, funds meant for purchasing medicine have not been effectively utilized. He emphasized that the Minister of Health, working together with the Minister of Finance, will enforce strict accountability measures to ensure that resources meant for medical supplies are protected from misuse. The minister further stressed that the government under Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika has prioritized the health sector to address existing challenges and curb corruption within the system.
It has taken the current administration of the President, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, to put in place measures that will see that the health industry is really improving. For example, all the funds that have been earmarked for drugs and medicines in the current budget have been ring-fenced so that no one tampers with them at all, but they do the work that is supposed to be done.
Waloi also highlighted that government will strengthen partnership with private health institutions, including the International Bladder Cancer Center, to reduce the cost associated with referring patients abroad for specialized treatment.
So I was elaborating to the House that currently there is an initiative that is there. For example, with the International Bladder Cancer Center, we've signed an MOU that is seeing patients, especially children and adults that require radiotherapy, being treated at the International Bladder Cancer Center.
Meanwhile, Chairperson of Parliamentary Committee on Health, Anthony Masamba, said collaboration with local private hospitals is essential in cutting down on resources spent on external medical referrals.
What we are calling for is public-private partnership, or in other words, we are pushing for service level agreement between the Malawi government and International Bladder Cancer Center, because these expenditures or these billions are spent on specialized cases, for example, cancer and other oncology cases.
Following cases of corruption and operational challenges within the Ministry of Health, government has introduced various measures aimed at improving service delivery, enhancing transparency, and addressing challenges faced by hospitals across the country. Mike Kalumbi, MBC News, Parliament.
AMREF Health Africa, an international health development non-governmental organization, has expressed commitment towards supporting government's efforts by easing mobility challenges facing frontline health workers in rural communities. Programs Manager Yang Samanyiga was speaking in Mangochi during a handover ceremony of bicycles to Health Surveillance Assistants HSAs at Mangochi District Health Office. Sotin Dazi has filed this report, being read by Owen Mavula.
Speaking during the handover ceremony of the bicycles, Programs Manager for AMREF Health Africa, Yang Samanyika, said the organization is focused on easing mobility challenges which frontline health workers like health surveillance assistants HSAs face when providing health care services. According to Samanyika, the bicycles are important for HSAs to perform their duties effectively, adding that the initiative will help close gaps in healthcare service delivery, particularly in communities where access to healthcare can be challenging.
Yeah, we expect that it will be easy for them to reach to almost each and every household within their given catchment areas. And we are sure by doing that, each and every household will be getting the most important information that will build their capacity to know how they can promote their health, thereby reducing a lot of illnesses.
For his part, Director of Health and Sanitation Services for Mangochi District, Dr. Henry Chiboa, said the bicycles will help health frontline workers to effectively provide quality health services in rural communities.
With these bikes, our community workers will be able to get to each house, each individual house,
will be able to visit those houses to provide health services, both preventive and curative services, basic curative services in the communities. So reaching that last mile, it means now we have cut short the distance and the barriers that hinder access to health services. And in the long run, we are going to have better impact and improved health indicators in the community.
Meanwhile, the organization has also provided a similar support to Chikwawa District Health Office.
Still on health, legislators have called for more dialogue among stakeholders in order to broaden the existing legal framework on unsafe abortion in the country. The call has been made in Lilongwe during a legislative theatre session titled Engaging Parliamentarians on Safe Abortion Access through Legislative Theatre, organized by Theatre for a Change. Chibililo Ntumotsi has more.
Abortion in Malawi is highly restrictive, permitted only to save a woman's life, thereby making most abortions unsafe and contributing to high maternal and mortality rates. Speaking during the meeting, Vice Chairperson for the Parliamentary Committee on Legal Affairs, Moses Mlenga, said there was need to create a legal framework that would ensure women and girls are not subjected to unsafe methods when seeking to remove unwanted pregnancies.
So we need to do some more talking. As members of parliament, we continue to engage our members in our constituencies, but also, as somebody pointed out, the government should also take a firm stand in order for us to save the lives of those people who are dying or have developed serious complications because of unsafe abortion should come to an end.
In her remarks, Parliamentary Health Committee Vice Chairperson Maureen Nsewulachira noted that unsafe abortion remains a serious public health challenge, contributing significantly to maternal mortality and morbidity in the country. Nsewulachira said legislators have the responsibility of ensuring the country's laws and policies safeguard the health and dignity of citizens, especially women and girls who are the most affected.
Let me recommend the Theatre for Change for organizing this engagement. We had different committees in Parliament. We had social, we had legal, and us as Healthy and Women Caucus. So I'm glad that even the legal were there. They enlightened that the law just doesn't stop at allowing the safe abortion when it comes to threatening the life of the mother, but also the law expands to allowing safe abortion even to those who have undergone rape, who have experienced rape, and also the incest, that those people that get pregnant due to sleeping together with the relatives, whether it's brother, sister, or uncle, niece, like that. Yeah.
Executive Director of Theatre for a Change, Emmanuel Kanike, says they organize a dialogue to strengthen among legislators understanding of unsafe abortion and encourage policy reflection to improve reproductive health outcomes.
Today, we brought to the parliamentarians to discuss about how them as people who make laws for this country can make a better place and a better country for women, and especially those who actually get pregnant when actually they do not wish to get pregnant. And these are most of the time cases, for example, related to rape. So we would like to see how our parliament can take part in making sure that we have a very good comprehensive legal framework that can allow safe abortion and make sure that people are able to actually enjoy their sexual and reproductive health rights.
Now that the conversation has been ignited with the legislative, there are still more stages to be explored as Theatre for a Change takes the issue to other platforms. Chipililo Mtumodzi, NBC News, Lilongwe.
Minister of Foreign Affairs George Chabonda says the suspension of access to VIP lounge facilities on commercial flights will curb abuse and security breach, among others. Chabonda told Parliament that the move will also address overcrowding, alleged customs duty evasion, and suspected smuggling linked to the facilities. He also said access will be restricted to officially designated users, including the President, Vice President, Speaker of Parliament, Chief Justice, Cabinet Ministers and ambassadors, among others.
The decision was taken in 20 has always been there. But in 2023, we had decided that let's start charging some monies, 50,000 to 100,000 per individual, one time, commercialize. And the point was we wanted that money should be used to improve the facility at these airports. At the same time, in line with the international practice and our protocol list, certain people were allowed, of course, without paying any monies, and this ranges from the president, the presidents at that time, and vice presidents, and so on. Now, in the course of time, we found that the airports, one, became very congested. Two, they lost the dignity of being a VIP lounge. And fourthly, we found that other people were using it for smuggling, avoiding duty-free, and so on. So because of this, we have decided with the approval of our president, Professor Athapita Mutharika, that this has to be stopped, the commercialization of the VIP lounges, with effect from 26th of April. And we will allow now only designated people according to our protocol list, which we have gazetted, which includes, as I said, the president, who is currently the president, Professor Athapita Mutharika, family members, and so on, the two vice presidents, and below, including, of course, we have also included our honorable members of parliament, former members of parliament, and all that. We have a long list, which I cannot read now.
This is NBC News, and you are with me, Evelis Chingambi. A reminder of the top stories. Government intensifies efforts to expand electricity access to achieve economic transformation. Over 20,000 students selected to pursue tertiary education in various public universities and colleges in the country. And in sports, Scorchers coach banks on FIFA Women's Series tournament to shape the team ahead of WAFCON finals in July. Welcome back. Over 20,000 students have been selected to pursue tertiary education in various public universities and colleges in the country. Secretary for Education Ken Ndala released the consolidated results at the ministry's headquarters in Malawi. Ndala says this represents 65% selection rate for the eligible candidates. Beatrice Mabe reports.
According to the Ministry of Education, 32,527 candidates, 29,812 qualified, and 20,682 have been selected. The ministry says of the 20,000 candidates selected, over 8,700 are females and 11,969 are males. In addition, the ministry has disclosed that over 10,000 have been selected into 6 public universities under face-to-face mode of delivery, representing 36% of the eligible candidates. In his speech, Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, Ken Ndala, says the ministry is aware of accommodation challenges students are facing, but was quick to highlight that government is advancing selecting students based on merit and not availability of space. He says their aim is to increase access to tertiary education. He has added that government is working closely with universities and colleges to find a resolve on the accommodation challenges.
To select beds on bed space, it means the numbers cannot reach this far, about 20,000. The idea is to still increase access for higher education, and this is why we follow this policy. We do realize that we have some challenges with regards to accommodation, and currently all the public universities, they are in a program of constructing hostels.
On his part, Acting Chief Executive Officer for National Council of Higher Education, John Sadalagi, says the transitioning of the application to digital has helped to harmonize systems and address multiple selection issues and hasten the processes. He has since stressed that INCHE will ensure that private universities which will absorb students who have not been selected adhere to standards, regulations and quality.
So we make sure that the quality assurance part is not compromised, because otherwise Malawi education will be rated as substandard in other countries. So that's why we don't want that. We want somebody with a bachelor's here should be the same bachelor's in South Africa.
Speaking on behalf of the universities, Vice Chancellor of Luana, Professor Emmanuel Kaunda, says the processes have been well coordinated, stressing this improves access to education. He has since made an assurance that the universities are working around the clock to increase accommodation of students in universities and colleges.
As we're talking, we have got projects that are going like infrastructure projects. And government has allocated some resources to those projects. Okay, they take a bit of time because we want to build good hostels, but at least the process is ongoing. So we will increase our resources for that.
This is the 12th harmonized selection by INCHE and 4th year using the harmonized online system. The students have been selected into 6 public universities, namely UNIMA, MAST, Nzuni, Mubas and Luana, in addition to Domasi and Nalikule colleges. Beatrice Mwape, MBC News, Lilongwe.
In entertainment, artists in Blantyre are calling for speedy completion of renovations of the Blantyre Cultural Centre. The facility, formerly known as the French Cultural Centre, was closed in 2011 for renovations. Nixon Malemia has more in this report, read by Mercy Zamawa.
For decades, the French Cultural Centre was Blantyre's artistic hub, hosting international and local stars like Oliver Ntukudzi, Evison Matafale, various drama groups, and poetry, among others. However, it has stood empty since 2011 following vandalism and dilapidation of the facility. MacArthur Matukuta, director of Solomonic Peacock's Theatre, says the centre was a vital school where many careers began.
The French Cultural Centre has been the epicenter for entertainment in Malawi, not only in Blantyre, across the country. It started sometime in the 70s to 80s. So that place was an entertainment, like a home theatre in Blantyre, because it's where you were going to watch performances like drama, poetry, music, gospel, and secular. So with the closure of the Blantyre Cultural Centre, it has affected us, we artists. By the time we were starting as Solomonic in 1999, when I joined the professional theatre, it was so vibrant. We have moved with the French Cultural Centre up to the closure of the French Cultural Centre.
Poetry Association of Malawi President Robert Chiwamba says the venue was uniquely affordable for local artists and urged the authorities to fast-track the reopening of the facility.
As poets have been affected a lot because before Blantyre Cultural Centre was closed, we would hold performances there and the cost of the venue was not that much as we are incurring now. You know, Blantyre Cultural Centre being in the hands of government, the cost is less since government is service-oriented. But now we have to find private venues that are very expensive because owners want to make as much profit as they can. So we have been affected a lot because when we want to organize performances, they are so expensive, such that a lot of artists are not organizing performances at all. Our plea to the government has been the same. Please renovate and open the Blantyre Cultural Centre, because we need it. As artists, we need these venues that are cheaper in as far as cost is concerned, so that we should showcase our talent. As of now, we are being affected.
Government, through the Directorate of Arts, says it has noted the entertainment gap that has been brought by the closure of this facility. Director of Arts Humphrey Mpondaminga says government is working hard to reopen the doors.
We have always worked hard since way back to 2022 or beyond to ensure that the spaces at Blantyre Cultural Center are open for artists. However, with the current phase of the project, we have encountered several problems, one after another. But as government, we have always looked forward to ensure that the spaces we are working on are opened.
After 38 years under the French embassy, the Malawi government bought and renamed the facility to Blantyre Cultural Center in 2011. Today, artists are still waiting for the stage to come back to life.
Moving on to sports, Scorchers coach Lovemore Fasili says FIFA Women's Series tournament will help the team prepare for WAFCON finals to be hosted in July this year. Malawi is in Kenya to compete in a four-nation tournament which starts tomorrow. Amin Musa reports.
FIFA Series tournament, which will be hosted in Nairobi, will involve four nations that include Australia, India and the host Kenya. Speaking ahead of the series, Fazili said facing high-ranked teams such as Australia and India will help to measure the team's status ahead of the first ever WAFCON participation. However, Fazili will miss the services of Captain Tabitha Chawinga and her US-based sister Temwa, who have been ruled out of the competition by their respective clubs. Tabitha suffered a knock last Thursday when her club won against Wolfsburg in Women's UEFA Champions League semi-final tie, while Temwa's club has not released her for assessment despite featuring in their match against Gotham FC. Meanwhile, Fazili's squad still has 8 foreign-based players. Ranked 153 on FIFA ladder, Scorchers will face 15th ranked Australia in their opening fixture on Saturday, and the winner will face the winner between Kenya and India, while the losers will face in third place tie. Amin Musa, NBC Sport, Blantyre.
And that's it from our newsroom this morning. A recap of our top stories before we leave. Government intensifies efforts to expand electricity access to achieve economic transformation. Over 20,000 students selected to pursue tertiary education in various public universities and colleges in the country. And in sports, Scorchers coach banks on FIFA Women's Series tournament to shape the team ahead of WAFCON finals in July. For more news, visit MBC Digital on Facebook, X and Instagram. You've been with me, Evelys Chingambe. Thanks for watching and good morning.
Programu yatsopano ya luso ndi chitukuko. Kalondolondo wa ntchito za bungwe la TVETA zomwe akupindula Malawi ndi bungweli. Nkhani za Technical College, kukamba za mabasale, kupereka zipangizo zophunzira ndi zina, kupereka upangiro wakagwiridwa ka ntchito ku makampani komanso mafakitale. Zonsezi pa MBC TV1 lachitatu lililonse kuyambira nthawi ya 5 koloko madzulo, ndipo programu iyi idzibwerezedwa lachisanu nthawi ya 2:30 masana. MBC TV2 on the go lolemba lililonse nthawi ya 12 koloko masana, lachinayi lililonse nthawi ya 9 koloko mmawa. Osaphonyana ndi programu ya luso ndi chitukuko.
ndimangonena kuti ine ndili ndi stress yandimenya kapena